In 2008, a group of specials arts inspectors set out to look at 22 of the country's top performing arts departments. To answer one fundamental question. Why are they all so good? But we also wanted to see if they had anything in common in their approach to delivering excellent learning experiences for their students. What's the pass rate on your art course?
Yeah, it's 100% pass rate.
96%.
Between 98 and 100%.
And the retention rate on your course?
Is 96 as well.
Well, we've never had anyone leave the course. The students come in at the beginning and however hard it gets, they stay through to the end.
Yeah, that's 100%. We're fine for that, yeah.
Our success rate on National Diploma Media is 93%.
Between 70 and 80% A's to B's.
Basically 100% grade A's actually. There's 80 odd students doing A2 art and about 30 odd doing textiles, and they tend to get, grade A.
Godalming College seems to achieve the impossible. Pretty much every year, all its visual arts students achieve a grade A at A level. But what is it that they do to achieve such high standards?
My expectation is that everyone can get a grade A, no matter what their background. I mean, if you turn up and if you've got an open mind and you're up for working hard, we will introduce you to all these different techniques and we'll find a way of working that, they can connect with so that they can go on to make, personal, meaningful art. So the target grade for all of them, as far as I'm concerned, is a grade A.
And almost all of them achieve.
And they achieve that, yeah.
Stop students being too easily satisfied, or just falling back on what they find easiest to do, or sticking with things that they feel comfortable with. Well, of course, everything starts at induction.
Hi guys, second day back. Hope we're all feeling good after the weekend. Yes? Yes? Okay. Today we're going to give you out the first project. When they come in, they're very nervous. They've come straight from school or from other programmes and they're with very new students. Last year, that was the biggest gig we have done in the college. Also, it sets them ready, gets them really built up for the rest of the course. It's just a huge icebreaker. It's going to be a massive gig, even bigger than last year's, and you're going to be performing in it. They come in here with expectations of working in the industry, in a few years' time, and think, well, we'll do small projects. They may have done things at school and other courses, but they're actually getting put into a very large project, so they're getting that real-world experience.
What is it that the most successful colleges do to set up their students right at the start of their course and set the tone for excellence from day one?
Well, here at Newcastle College, the first 8 weeks is an ambitious integrated induction project to perform live the Beatles' White Album. And right from the start, students were clear what they wanted the project to achieve.
I think for the experience of getting on stage, because some people are scared of getting up.
I just want to get the performing confidence.
Confidence and self-esteem.
But for all this exciting work to happen, there's a huge impact across the college down to timetabling, team working, collaboration across the subject area and even within different departments. So what is it that these colleges do in order to set up this kind of extraordinary projects that bear such fruit?
I don't think we do anything extraordinary that others couldn't emulate.
For me, I think there's a few key things. One would be having heads of department in place who are setting the benchmark and excellent leaders for their departments. Not only setting the standard for staff, but also for students. I see my role as stepping back from that and trusting them to get on with their job.
Ownership by staff of the qualifications for which they are responsible. That sort of autonomy actually creates a staff buy-in. And so long as staff regard their qualification with a sort of personal responsibility, then it all works very well. It's when that responsibility is shirked, I think, that teams and qualifications have problems and run the risk of failing.
We're very wedded to value-added systems, and when we go through the review of work and look at our self-assessment, we're using quite a bit of data from value-added to make sure that certain standards are being met.
When we send our first reports out, many departments go with Alice predictions, whereas Dan screws them up and throws them out the window.
Well, value-added scores are usually calculated from a student's GCSE point score and then calculated on the basis of what they achieve at level 3 on an A-level or a BTEC course. So something on an Alice system, something like 0 means they've achieved what you would expect them to achieve. So anything above that begins to indicate students are doing better than you might expect. In the Alice system, something around 0.4, 0.5 starts to become statistically significant. At Godalming College, their value-added scores are 1.0 and 1.2, which in national terms is just off the scale. They use the Alice scores for value-added and other grade predictors as a starting point, as a minimum of what students might achieve. But then they set aspirational grades on top of that. And what really binds all these colleges together is a sense of high expectations, developing culture of aspiration to ensure their students really achieve as much as they possibly can.
I think it's important to sort of change, and innovate.
To get people being creative, to feel that they're in a secure environment, that they can be creative, is something that we're always going to need.
I think creativity and innovation are important for all sorts of reasons. I mean, for a start, they're very important for the economy. The creative sector in London is now the largest employment sector. More jobs there than in finance and business. But not just in the creative sector itself. I mean, creativity in general management, in business, is really, really important. It's what gives companies their distinctiveness. It's what makes them competitive. It's what makes them more profitable.
And where better to find out than at Greenhead College in Huddersfield.
They regularly speak to you and tell you how you're doing, they tell you the predicted grades, they talk to you about targets.
The teachers just put so much effort and passion into
what they do.
Yeah, what they do, and just making sure that we get valuable experience at the end of it.
They'll write down bullet points of things that you could go through and what you need to incorporate into your work to kind of boost it a little bit.
They treat us all as individuals and everyone's unique to them.
But what is it that management can do to help staff create such a productive environment?
I think you've got to try and help creative people to find the space to be creative. And sometimes that's difficult because, dare I say it, the bureaucracy that you have to cope with, both internal and external now, is what can sometimes get into the way of creativity. I often say that if you want a creative climate, you minimise the number of meetings, you minimise the amount of paper, and you minimise the bureaucracy. And I think part of my task is to try and help people to find the space to be creative.
I think it's also coming from a very strong ethos set by the head of department, in terms of a vision that they might have.
I feel as though I'm entirely supported and given an opportunity to do the things that I need to do.
A kind of shared ethos is really important. I mean, everyone's got to buy into the idea that everyone can make art, and no matter what the student's background.
And then we all work together to try to meet that vision, and it's very much a collaboration, really. Communication,
trust, allowing both teachers and the students the freedom to do their own thing.
We give clear, simple objectives to people so they know what they're about, and we don't try to obfuscate it with lots of extra things to do.
I think it's really important that some of the best teachers we have are practitioners themselves, that they're not sitting still in terms of their own work, their own creativity, and I think that really feeds into the students.
How do you manage to keep on your own art practice, given you're running a busy art department?
I've been very fortunate at Godalming College, actually. They've given me the opportunity to spend one day a week focusing on my own work, and that's been excellent, and I've kind of set up a studio in the corner of the classroom there and kind of just carry on with my own stuff.
Action!
They've come onto a real film set, they're doing real work, and they've got professionals with them guiding them.
They get exposed to industry practice, and I think that comes as a shock in small ways. Firstly, just being on time. It's terribly important in the film industry, be on time.
Time is money, and the film business is very ruthless.
If you're late, you're fired. You know, and I think that comes as a big shock to realise that it's a very disciplined environment to work in.
I've learnt more in the 2 months here than the 2 years I've been at college, so hoping to carry on in the same way.
But achieving very high standards takes more than just inventive projects. It doesn't really matter what kind of students you're working with or what level of course they're on. It's really about meeting students' own individual needs and helping to support their individual development, and that's what makes it work every time.
They're very self-reflective in self-assessment terms of what have I done and how can I improve it.
Bye everybody. Bye.
So the story so far. To be outstanding, you need to develop students' ability to be self-critical, help them to aspire to heights they didn't think were possible, give them an intimate understanding of professional standards, have a clear strategic vision and passion for meeting individuals' needs. But there's a far more fundamental common denominator than any of these.
Well, when they come in, I mean, we go straight into it. I mean, there's a great pace to the department.
With A-level, you're setting your own standards, whereas GCSE, like, you're being told what to do the whole time.
They're just bombarded with skills at the beginning of their course.
Yeah, because I wasn't really challenged at my old school, so to come here was just a huge challenge, completely different. Like, the use of media, I didn't get any of that at my old school. To come here was just amazing.
Nothing's taken for granted, you know, whether it's how to hold a pencil or how to mix paints, you know, everything we go through as if they've never, you know, been in an art room before.
Dan says, well, actually everyone here has got the capability to get an A if they work hard enough and if they listen to the skills that we're developing in them, and if they're taking risks and exploring their own skills.
I realised that what I thought was a good standard at GCSE was a very low standard at A-level, and the A-level pushed my boundaries more.
Sketchbooks are central to the course, and when they start, you know, we set 5 hours homework straight away. The expectation is that they will do 5 hours homework, which is, you know, tends to be about 2 pages of really worked up drawings or series of studies. We have a few kind of general rules. One is that they're not allowed to just kind of stick stuff into the book. We don't want scrapbooks.
Keep it neat and tidy.
Yeah.
Something that Dan liked.
Something
I can't do. I'm not neat at all. But
everything's got to be, you know, drawn, and you know they've got to, if they're looking at other artists, they've got to do their kind of transcriptions, their versions of it. A lot of the kind of other rules are kind of reinforced when doing the design sheets. You know, like the layout of the page, not to have something just floating in space with, you know, with no background.
Whether it's drawing for visual artists, technique for dancers, or instrumental skills for musicians, tackling fundamental skills development is definitely not something that the best colleges shy away from.
Good. Really make sure the first 2 quavers here are really separated so we hear them.
Oh, yeah, 'cause I didn't.
Let's try it again. Well done. That's it.
And the results speak for themselves.
I think that when people talk about creative education or artistic education, that they think, well, quality is not as important. It is as important.
So what does it feel like to be here tonight with your work up on show and all these people milling about?
Very surreal.
Our reputation is founded on the quality of our teaching and the quality of our research. So structured creativity, anarchy may be, but quality is what we're about producing.
Well, we've now seen what's at the heart of some of the best arts education in the country. Shared vision and ethos, strong teaching of fundamental skills, high expectations and aspirations for students, which challenges them and takes them beyond their comfort zone. And now, I'm off home.
It was grade 2.
It's grade 1.
It was grade 1 outstanding.
1.
Yeah, it's a grade 1 outstanding.